top 5 college football recruiting storylines kind of falling off the table a little bit because we're so busy on the non-football stuff. But there's some interesting things going on in recruiting nationally that I've told Smokey about one of them today, and thought we'd do a top 5 about this. Number 5, obviously, is who is throwing around the most money to get back to relevance. I'm not talking about the teams like Georgia and Texas. I mean, Texas probably is a little bit. They're not relevant, but Georgia and Alabama and all these. But Miami, Nebraska, Tennessee. I mean, he throws Florida State up there, but that's not really what's going on there yet. But there are a lot of schools trying to buy their way back into relevance, and I'm not sure that that's really going to do it. You know, A&M's doing it. They're better than all these other 3 teams have been, or 4 teams have been right now, but they're trying to buy their way back into relevance through NIL, and I'm not sure that it's going to work just completely the same that way.
Aggies fans will probably hate this, but I mean, they're about as relevant as they've ever been. Yeah. I think, this is their level of relevance. It's not being a playoff team, at least in my lifetime, which is, going funning and gunning towards 40 years here in the next few years. But I think they're about where they have been. But these other programs, they've tried everything else. They've tried coaches, they've tried, recruiting, they've tried doing a number of things, but maybe this is finally the way that, some of these programs can get to a level where they are back to what we grew up with them as, or what we lived through them as, in the 90s, especially with a lot of these brands. But who's throwing around the most money? If the Tennessee rumor about the quarterback was true, then you're starting off with $8 million. But again, who knows that for sure or not? USC certainly belongs in this pack as well. I don't know who Miami would probably be my guess, but then again, I don't know, man. Nebraska landed, who they've landed kind of makes me think that there's a lot of money going.
Well, wouldn't it be interesting to know if the $8 million ended up being like $475,000, which is still pretty damn good.
I often wonder if that number has been thrown out there by the Tennessee people just to scare off whoever it would scare off.
Or just to flex.
Or by, Auburn fans or whoever that want to just make them look as poor as possible.
So you did not put the UT logo in here.
No, I sent Jack a few suggestions, and but he went on his own path for the last one.
And because I think there's probably 3 or 4 mothers.
USC, Texas, I probably should have thrown them on there.
The thing is, you could have like 7 or 8 on here, but the 7 or 8 that are throwing around money and 7 or 8 that aren't as relevant as they used to be. So, there's these 4, and then there's a few others, and who wins that race, I don't know. But it sure seems like right now,
those are 4 good ones.
Well, not so much Florida State, but Nebraska, Tennessee, and Miami have certainly made a lot of headlines.
Used to run college football.
Yeah, I think Jack put on that on there for my benefit, based on the fact that Florida State's lost 2 guys, Travis Hunter, the number 1 recruit in the country, and Amarius Mims, the number 1 transfer in the country, and NIL probably had a huge part to do with both those. I don't think they're in that realm yet. Number 4, Billy Napier.
Well, damn it, start sending more money.
Billy Napier is recruiting up a storm at Florida.
Not a surprise.
He is very quietly, too, got a ton of top 50 recruits already signed. He's got a bunch more coming in. And he is the first coach that they've had since Urban Meyer who's really done this right off the bat, or even at all. Dan Mullen didn't really do it at all. He wasn't up in the stratosphere that Florida used to be in. Billy Napier has turned it around in a hurry. And a lot of the talk, and part of the reason I put it right after the Miami thing is, Mario Cristobal and Miami are doing a lot of NIL stuff, and I'm sure Florida's doing it too. They've got a ton of money at that school flowing through a lot of different things. But Billy Napier, just in the old school recruiting of getting guys to come on campus, getting guys to commit, is recruiting up a storm, and if he continues on that path, Florida's not going to be too far off from being relevant again, and Tennessee and Georgia and Tennessee better watch out, but Georgia's still, head and shoulders above both of them.
Yeah, it's a big school, great athletic history, football history.
They got a long way to go. They got a very small class right now in 23. They're like a top 40 recruiter, but they also, like I said, have a very small class at the moment, but if you look at the way they finished out last year, they finished with the top 20 ranking, which is solid. Obviously, you want to get more if you're Florida into that 10 to 15 here pretty soon. And I think if he goes out this year and wins some games, that they'll probably find themselves back in that spot. And then they got the added benefit of NIL too to help propel any other further momentum. So I like the fit. I like the hire. And I do like it when Florida is relevant, and they haven't been all that relevant really since the Meyer years. So, if they're back like Texas or like USC or like Miami and Tennessee and all these other teams, that'd be great for college football. But I do like him. I think he's going to do well there.
Yeah. Number 3, Nick Saban can easily get the best player off your roster. And if you look around at the transfers that he's doing, that's what he's doing. Scott Satterfield has accused him of tampering. And
not him.
Of Alabama.
Alabama.
And maybe that's true. But here's the deal. I'll say this. If Nick Saban wants a guy, he doesn't need to tamper. He just needs to wait till he goes in the portal and call up and say, hello, this is Coach Saban.
Yes. And then, okay, when do you need me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Jordan Addison thing, there's all this talk about Alabama. I haven't seen much traction with him in Alabama. It's mostly been focused on Texas and USC for the most part. But I do see a lot of Bama mentions with him. So not being a member of like Bama Online or whatever, I don't know what the secret word is on Addison in Alabama. But I do know he's enjoying his time in Texas right now. And it's Nick Saban. He's the greatest college football coach of all time. I'll stand with that till, there's somebody who passes him, but that's not happening within the next 30 years. So I don't know if I'll ever see it. But yeah, he's the man, and Alabama's got all the bells and whistles.
Number 2, Ryan Day is the new QB guru. Not that this should be too much of a surprise, but if you look at what he's doing in the quarterback thing, in the quarterback recruiting realm, he's sending away guys that are better than the people on most people's roster. And then in the way look, he's sent away Quinn Ewers and Jack Miller, both of them 5-star recruits. Jack Miller's at Florida right now, and he's not even going to start there. Anthony Richardson, I think, has won that job outright. But it's kind of amazing what he's doing at QB, and this is not just a knock.
He just got Raiola, right?
Yeah. This is not a knock on Urban Meyer. I do think that it was very clear that Urban Meyer's style of coaching is not what works anymore completely, and he could have held on for a little while there. Ryan Day taking over at Ohio State was the right move at the right time. Urban Meyer's real legitimate health reasons or whatever is going on with that guy, notwithstanding, this was the absolute bet. Like, it worked out unbelievably well for them.
He's done a really, really good job, just like, some have taken over for Hall of Fame type coaches. And I consider Ohio State, when you tell me who are the top 3 programs in the country, Ryan Day's allowed them to be a part of that conversation with Clemson and Georgia and Alabama. I know that's 4. He's done a really good job. And then last year they had a couple of hickeys, and I think he'll get them right back to where they need to be.
Yeah, he's a great coach. I know there's a lot of talk about him in the NFL. That kind of, that's scuttlebutt. I see that rear up every once in a while. But no, he's had a great run of QBs, like you said. I mean, you got dudes transferring for millions of dollars, allegedly, somewhere else because they can't see the field. I mean, that says a lot. And the NFL picks and the guys they've produced, that says a lot as well. And just offensively, they've been, especially, wide receiver and quarterback, they've been pretty ridiculous here lately.
Yeah. Number 1, Arch Manning, slow playing the process. A lot of recruits that are highly sought after as Arch Manning, and granted, he's got so much football knowledge in that family that he doesn't have to do anything, and he can take all the trips he wants and do all those things. But it is interesting to me to see how much he's slow playing this process and really going through and taking it in.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a big, big name, and you can use this if you get him, whether it's Tennessee or Texas or Alabama or whoever. I've never even seen much video of him, although I know he's obviously got the lineage from the Manning family.
He's a great player. I've seen far too many guys who get touted as like the next big thing, and then they go and they're pretty good, or maybe they are the next big thing, and sometimes you just forget they even existed. I don't think that obviously be the case with Arch Manning. Like, my question is, at this point, can he live up to the hype that's been created for him wherever he does land? Texas wants him really bad, and there's several others that want him badly as well, obviously. I think Bama wants him, and Ole Miss obviously would want him. But, yeah, I mean, it's been cool to see. And, as far as slow playing, I mean, there's plenty of recruits who have been number 1 that they would take this another 7 months all the way to signing day and wait till then to announce. But it does seem like he's being calculated and just being smart and not really revealing too much. Like last week, I'm saying, Smoak, he's headed to Texas. And then this week, Smoak, he's headed to so-and-so. And 3 weeks ago, Smoak, he's headed to
social media at its best.
Yeah, but, I mean, he's got his pick of the litter. People are going to have to wait on him, not the other way around. And I just hope he lives up to the hype ultimately.
I like he went to Notre Dame. It's not like this the same one. I like, again, Marcus Freeman, this guy's doing a hell of a job up there.
I'm fine if he goes anywhere but Texas, Florida, or Miami. But no, okay. I mean, again, it's really fun. I'm interested in with him. If Quinn Ewers really is the real deal at Texas, that would maybe eliminate Texas for me.
I mean, Ewers could be gone in 1 year, a year and a half, 2 years, and Manning would be redshirt for a year.
Yeah, 2 years.
By the time he's a second year in college.
But given the fact that
then that opens up what Malik Murphy, what happens with him, and what happens to all the other guys that they've recruited at quarterback, and that's when you find yourself in that little puzzle that you have to play around with the pieces to figure out how to best make it work. And ultimately, it's like we saw with Baylor. They don't even have a deep quarterback room, and it resulted in somebody leaving. So, you gotta win the job, and he's ultimately going to have to do that too. He's not just going to slide in and be a starter, but there's obviously a lot of people that think he could be a starter pretty quickly.
All right, Paul, very well done. Emory Winter, Jack McKenzie.